At some point today, or yesterday, or sometime recently, you probably felt it, even if you were surrounded by people, even if your phone was full of messages and your day was packed. There's a specific kind of quiet that has nothing to do with being alone, a feeling that sits just underneath everything else, like something is missing, like you're not fully connected to anyone around you. That feeling has a name, and it may be one of the oldest survival signals your brain still carries. Loneliness, from an evolutionary standpoint, is an alarm system. The same way physical pain signals that your body is being damaged, loneliness signals that your social connection is dangerously low. And for ancient humans, dangerously low social connection wasn't just uncomfortable, it was fatal. A person separated from their group faced predators, exposure, and starvation in ways that a person surrounded by their group almost never did. So the brain built a warning signal. When connection drops, something inside you starts to hurt. Neuroscience confirms this isn't metaphorical. Social pain activates the same brain regions as physical pain. Being lonely, at the level of your nervous system, registers the same way a burn registers. It was designed to be that uncomfortable, because uncomfortable things get your attention, and getting your attention was the whole point. Ancient humans who listened to that signal and moved back toward the group survived. Those who didn't, often didn't survive. The feeling wasn't weakness. It was one of the most important survival tools the human body ever developed. But how did ancient humans actually manage it? The answer starts with fire, not just for warmth or protection, but for what happened around it. Every evening, as the sun went down, ancient humans gathered at the hearth, and something shifted. The focus moved from survival tasks to something else entirely. Stories were told, songs were sung, rituals were performed. Anthropologists who study modern hunter-gatherer communities, groups whose social structure most closely mirrors ancient human life, have documented that nighttime fire gatherings were dominated by what researchers call night talk. Humor, myth, emotional sharing, laughter. The hearth wasn't just a heat source. It was the first social network, a daily reset that pulled isolated individuals back into the emotional center of the group. And then there was food. Ancient hunter-gatherers didn't just share food out of generosity. They built entire systems around it. Resources were pooled deliberately. If you made a kill, the group ate. If you gathered more than you needed, it went to others. Research from the Smithsonian suggests this kind of resource sharing didn't just prevent starvation, it created social bonds. The daily act of preparing food together, dividing it, eating side by side, re-anchored people to each other in ways that went beyond the meal itself. For someone drifting toward the edges of the group, that daily act of inclusion was a lifeline. But perhaps the most overlooked ancient solution to loneliness was one that most people today have never heard of: alloparenting. Ancient humans didn't raise children in isolated nuclear families. They raised them collectively. Aunts, uncles, grandparents, unrelated neighbors, everyone shared childcare duties. Researchers call this alloparenting, and its social effect went far beyond childcare. It meant that no individual was ever truly alone in their responsibilities. Every person was embedded in a continuous web of daily human interaction. In a system like that, prolonged loneliness became much harder to sustain. The structure itself kept pulling people back into daily human connection. But ancient humans didn't just rely on group structure to manage loneliness. They also built something more personal. Something researchers studying modern hunter-gatherer networks have only recently begun to fully appreciate: intentional friendship. Ancient humans actively maintained 1 to 4 close same-gender friendships alongside their family ties. Not casual acquaintances. Deep, deliberately cultivated relationships with people who were not relatives. These friendships functioned as emotional safety nets, places where personal grievances could be expressed, where emotional exhaustion could be acknowledged, where the weight of survival could be shared with someone who understood it completely. In a world without therapists or any formal support structure, these friendships were the closest thing to one. And here's what's striking about that: it wasn't accidental. Ancient humans fiercely maintained these friendships across distance and time because they understood, at some instinctive level, that the group alone wasn't enough. You needed people within the group who were specifically yours. But what happened when even that wasn't available? When the group was gone, or someone was separated from it, through a solo hunting trip, a scouting mission, or the most severe punishment ancient communities could impose? Exile. Being cast out of the tribe was, in most ancient cultures, considered a fate worse than death. And the reason is straightforward. Outside the group, survival was almost impossible. But beyond the physical danger, exile removed something else. The daily confirmation that you existed, that you mattered, that other people knew your name and needed you present. Without that, people didn't just struggle physically. They broke psychologically. Which is why what ancient humans did when forced into solitude is so remarkable. They didn't just endure it, they reframed it. Across ancient cultures, from the earliest evidence of spiritual belief, humans practiced animism, the understanding that nature, animals, trees, rivers, and stars were living entities with their own presence and intention. When a hunter was alone in the forest for days, he wasn't alone in a dead landscape. He was surrounded by beings. The trees had awareness. The animals carried meaning. The stars were watching. For ancient humans, this belief may have served as a powerful psychological tool. Physical solitude became a different kind of conversation, not with people, but with something. The absence of human connection was partially filled by a perceived connection with the living world. And when they returned to the group, they brought that experience back with them. The lone hunter's encounter with the spirit of the forest became a story told at the hearth. The solitude was absorbed into the community's understanding of the world. The loneliness, shared through narrative, became connection. Loneliness evolved as a survival signal. Ancient humans listened to it because ignoring it could be deadly. They built their entire way of life around answering it. The hearth, the shared food, the alloparenting, the close friendships, the spiritual framework that made even solitude feel inhabited. Loneliness is not a modern invention. It is one of the oldest human experiences that exists, and the answer to it has never changed. Move toward people. Share what you have. Stay inside the web of connection that makes survival, real survival, not just physical survival, possible. Ancient humans knew this without being told. They built their entire way of life around it. And somewhere underneath the noise of everything modern life has added, you still know it too.